This is an actual training from our Las Vegas mastermind event for our playing clientele within the mastermind. We have our next event coming up, which is in November in Dubai on the Palm, which is the 9th and 10th, Friday and Saturday. If you want the secrets to blow up your fitness business, we are going to be teaching you some bombshell stuff, in particular how to double your business over Black Friday alone. So hit the link below this video. You can get tickets now for the event. We have a maximum sit-in of 10 people who can sit in the room. Now enjoy the training. I loosely knew Luke in the industry before meeting at an event in
Dubai
in January, and was blown away by his knowledge in terms of fitness, bodybuilding aspect, but also his business brain. So he has a hugely successful coaching business, and also is part of J3 University, which I'm sure we're going to today. So, he's like a plethora of knowledge and expertise in this industry from probably maybe a little bit of a different angle. So there's a huge amount to take from this, so make sure you ask plenty of questions afterwards.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, first off, if we can get a quick round of applause for Charlie, because I don't think anybody's taken enough time to thank him for gathering everyone here that's here live or just watching any of the recordings. Like, these events fill my cup up so much, so like the more questions, the better. And we're gonna dive into how to create world-class brands. And hopefully the goal today is so that you leave with a better understanding of how I look at branding and how you can build leverage with branding, how to better serve your customers with a better brand, and how we can start to expand our reach, or what I call our meta impact, with what we do as a brand and how we grow that as the business grows. So we're gonna create pillars today and kind of walk you through some examples to help you understand this, but we're gonna start just like a little bit of background on me. So No Switch Fitness is my coaching business. Built this from the ground up, started in 2016. And the whole goal with that was to take no off switch in the pursuit of results. I tell people my personality is like a light switch. I'm either off and I don't care a rip about it, or I'm on and I care everything and I'm gonna pour my whole heart and being into it. It's where the brand came from, and it's expression of my own personality. Some of the branding stuff we're gonna be talking about today is gonna be specific to the fitness industry and how I feel that it is an expression of who we are as people. And that authenticity that comes across in branding is how you get people to not only step in your door, but stay in your door. Because what are the two biggest issues? Retention rates and getting people in your door, okay? So authenticity always wins, and we're gonna talk about a little bit that today. I put my why here on this slide, and it's actually also on the next slide because it tells you everything you need to know about the decisions that I make from a branding perspective. So my why is to elevate the industry standard of coaching. That is through my own coaching and through my own education and through educating others, and to leave the industry better than I found it. So one of the things I'm gonna encourage you guys as I work through this is branding meetings. So once a quarter, sitting down and seeing if everything that you are doing from a branding perspective is serving your why. Has anybody here ever experienced burnout? Yeah, right? Most of the time, that's because you're not making decisions that are serving your vision, okay? You're involved in things from a brand perspective that aren't associated with what you want to do moving forward, or you're doing things just for the money's sake, and that can in itself be a rate limiter for the growth of your brand. So we're gonna talk about that today. Like I said, No Switch is my coaching business. My leverage within that brand has blessed me with the opportunity to be the head educator at J3 University with John Jewett. John is a 212 pro, he's the founder of J3U. My best friend in this entire industry, we've been friends for 7 years, and it's really cool to see what it's become. So through that, we've developed J3 Level 1, the female module, the applied hypertrophy optimization module, a bunch of courses that we spent hours upon hours putting into, and I've actually got a really cool surprise for y'all today. Something we've never done before from a discount perspective for everyone that's listening at the recording and is here live, so we'll talk about that towards the end. But J3 University fills my cup from a meta impact standpoint. The amount of people that we get to impact on the day-to-day, and when I go to shows, because bodybuilding is kind of my realm, it really shows me that all of the effort that I'm putting in here is even furthering my meta impact from an education standpoint. So you're gonna see as you work through branding within every business that you build is that it's a dynamic thing. It starts out as something you get 6 months down the line or a year down the line or 2 years down the line, And that branding that was serving your purpose 2 years ago might not be serving the direction that you want to go in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, the next 10 years. And so with that, just kind of being in the forefront of building these two businesses, I really want to make sure that we understand how I think of branding in terms of it's not a logo. I know you guys like logos, they're cool, right? They're nice to slap on a nice t-shirt, maybe kind of have on some of your personalized stuff. But that's not branding. That's just a cool thing that you paid someone from Fiverr to build for you, right? So branding is not going to be the logo. Branding is going to be an asset of the business that is going to attach positive associations to everything that you do. Now, the whole goal within branding is to move a company from tactical decision-making into strategic decision-making. Does anybody know the difference without looking at that chart? No, as everybody looks at the chart. So tactical decision-making is what are we doing on the day-to-day? The actions that we take on a day-to-day, and we decide on what those things are. You might have your own schedule pre-personalized that kind of pre-plans those schedules, but strategy is large scale. Strategy is why, and strategy is very hard to copy. In an industry that is overloaded with coaches and businesses trying to do this, the more you can be difficult to copy, the more you're gonna stand out, okay? So if we can start to think of branding as an asset rather than just this cool $500 logo that I just spent on Fiverr to get done, we're really gonna start to tap into the ethos of the client, which at the end of the day is what creates your branding on the forefront. So we're gonna be talking about some of the ways that a brand is an asset. And the big one for me is associations. So associations, most people think of incoming into a brand. What people see on the forefront with your pre-purchase tactics and your pre-purchase things, this would be like your long-form content, your short-form content, your ads, but it's also how they leave your business, right? I honestly probably get more business from people who coach with me and no longer do because of how well I did with that individual than I actually do with the people that are in the business right now, because they're still experiencing that service and how much in depth that it is. Tomorrow we're gonna get into how service can help build a brand and what kind of level you probably need to take your service in order to do that. But when it comes to associations, one of the big ones I see as far as people leaving and having a bad association with a certain company or another coach or another brand that they've been with is an example of like not understanding female physiology. So females stepping away from competing with menstrual cycle health issues, not being able to get pregnant, they've got chronic issues with losing fat, whatever that may be, it just may be from overexposure to drug use. Because if we're honest about it, in the bodybuilding industry, it's rampant, but even in just the regular fitness industry, it's used as well. So people can leave your business with a bad association as well. And so we need to, as we saw earlier, serve at the highest level that we can possibly serve so that the association coming in and leaving serves our business. Clarity. It's your guiding light. Your brand is your guiding light for every decision that you make. That's why I sit down quarterly and make sure that everything that we're doing over the next quarter and over the next year is moving us towards where we want to be. I'm actually going to share with you a challenging one that I'm going through right now that will be pretty cool for you guys to see why I'm big on the clarity portion. And clarity and vision kind of go together. So if you guys have ever heard of, it's not Myers-Briggs. There's another personality test that large corporations use. Believe it's Colby. It separates people into the type of individual they are. So you have doers, you have visionaries, you have these different. Yes, like the DISC profile, thank you. So visionaries are often your CEOs. They're not really in the business doing a lot of the business stuff. They're kind of seeing what the future is to come for the business. You have doers, you have people that do the actions on the day-to-day. Brand is a vision builder. So if you want to see your brand become what that vision is going to be, you actually have to understand how to effectively communicate with your clients and how it's actually serving what they need, which is what we're going to get into next. Last thing is margin. Now, people, when you bring up margins, kind of tighten their butthole real quick, and they're like, ooh, I just need to make money. That's not what I'm here to promote, right? The reality of it is in order to serve more people, we have to make more money, okay? More money is more leverage is more people helped. Okay, this is something I really struggled with, and this is what took me from, honestly, 5 years ago making $60,000 a year to now making over that in a month, right? Because I understood that brand and leverage and that kind of thought process when it came to how much it helped me serve others is how I'm going to be able to spread that ripple effect of the pebble in the water turning into a stone, turning into a massive rock, right? So the margin is kind of a good way to think of brand because it gives you more leverage into creating something. Now, in order to build a brand, everybody brings up niche. I serve the 40-year-old female, or I serve the 25-year-old male, or whatever that may be. I think this is a really poor way to think of brand because you're leaving a lot of business off the table. I think we should be thinking about how to serve someone's needs instead of actually looking at it from what demographic they sit in. The reason I say this is because brand building is really just an expression of psychology for people. So I like to use Maslow's hierarchy of needs to kind of help explain this. In the fitness industry, we typically deal with these top three. They're going to be kind of handling the safety needs and physiological needs on their own. So your brand is going to typically kind of bias one of these places or the other. Being that my business is primarily in bodybuilding and these people are pretty established, they don't really have self-esteem issues other than a fair amount with like the eating disorder side. Most of the people that I get are kind of somewhere in this higher esteem into self-actualization. They have this desire to be the best version of themselves that they can be, right? They've probably already accomplished certain things. A lot of them are just coming in with wanting to understand the level of knowledge that I understand to get them to this best version. A lot of people just want to be a part of a community. Just like he pointed out, like you'll have people that stay fat for 6, 8, 12 months and still pay you because they're a part of that community. And we're going to talk about how you can use branding to kind of bias your business towards that. But we should be understanding, are people coming into our business needing esteem, self-actualization, love and belonging? Because this is actually going to change the core products that we offer to these people and the actual products that we offer to these people, which we're going to see in a second. I really like Maslow's hierarchy of needs because it puts it into a simplistic version that's easy to digest, and it's pretty much a catch-all for everybody that you come across. Now, I really like this. So once you've kind of broken down, your needs of your client, we all have these basic human instincts, okay? I'm using 3 human instincts that I see most commonly in the fitness industry to kind of help depict this for you guys. And so that you can kind of understand this. So branding always attaches itself to someone's human instinct and where they need to be on Maslow's hierarchy of needs to feel part of something in the way that they want to. So I use the brain, the testicles, or gonads for you females in here, and the heart to kind of help express what these different instincts are. So the brain is always going to be the pursuit of intelligence. This is education-based brands. This would be J3 University. This would be N1. Anybody who's promoting coaching coaches or elevating kind of like the intellect. The reason this is important to understand is because the way that we go about all this stuff we've talked about in content production and all that kind of stuff looks way different for someone who has this pursuit of intelligence than someone who needs this pursuit of community, right? Because I just pointed out earlier when one of the presentations was going on that we provide value up front to collect emails, and then from there we kind of go into the offer. That's because the information that's shared in the webinar is what these people care about the most. And so we'll present on something like peak week management for athletes. They care about the peak week management for athletes. You provide value to them by providing them intelligence that they didn't want or that they needed, they didn't know they needed. And then they buy whatever you're offering the next day because they're like, holy crap, this guy's really smart, right? The last webinar we did, we collected 700 emails. 700 in 1 hour. We converted 200 of them for a $900 offer. Just let that sink in. Gonads, exclusivity, status, winning. These are your winners in the room. These are the people that don't really care what it costs as long as it makes them look good, feel good, and they're better than you, okay? The reality is you're gonna come across these people. Brands that kind of serve this, Ferrari, Rolex, anybody in that realm of wealth and luxury is gonna be a gonadal-based instinct that you're trying to appeal to. You'll see this in the fitness industry as something that's typically about winning shows or winning competitions or whatever that may be. And so you'll see a lot of coaching brands kind of built around that. Now this is one that's very scalable in the fitness industry, built around community, culture, and bonds created at the forefront of the business. These are your people who do the team retreats, the athlete weekends, the events where we get together on a group call, those kinds of things. Because we care more about these people being a part of community that betters themselves. Maybe it provides them connections that allows them to make better decisions for their life as they move forward. Maybe it's the workout partner that they meet in the community that they needed to push themselves and get them to where they want to be, right? The branding for this is built a lot around getting people together. This person doesn't give a fuck about being around people, right? 95% of the people that I coach from a gonadal structure standpoint that like really want to win, they more want to be a part of what we're doing because they know they're going to win on the back end, right? Now, good brands have aspects of all of these, okay? I'm just pointing these differences out because you're going to have a primary and then you're going to have other services within your business that touch on these secondary that allow them to be a part of this in the way that they want to be. Because most people typically have some combination of these three in order to be able to get everything that they want out of your coaching business. So we should have aspects of the business that touch all of this within your brand. But when it comes to actually running branding and pre-purchase content, we're actually looking at which one serves the most people within your Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
What's the hardest client to manage out of those three?
Probably the more status exclusivity one. The reason being is because the intelligence one, which is where most people would think is a problem because of the questions, they look at you as an authority. So they're almost taking everything that you say as like gold, and they're willing to learn and they're paying you to learn more than they're actually paying you for the coaching service. So this is where I see this a little bit easier to manage than this, because this is like they could lose at something that's not a result of your coaching and they're probably going to leave, right? So like in my realm, like in the bodybuilding industry, like a genetic freak shows up, they come in second, they're like, oh, I didn't beat this guy. Why didn't I beat this guy? I'm moving on to the next coach. When in reality, it's like you just put the best physique you've ever put on a stage, but by 2, 3, 4 years, but you just happen to run into the wrong guy, right? So this is where I find these a little bit more. It's nice from a business standpoint and a revenue standpoint because they are willing to pay a lot more from a service perspective. And so you get a lot more out of working with them across the LTV of a client, which is just lifetime value for those who don't. But they're typically the hardest to retain and they're the hardest to kind of make sure that you serve them well, in my opinion. These are very low maintenance people, right? You just make sure they have the right people around them and they're typically going to kind of stick around, right? These, you gotta kind of run some education-based stuff within your brand, but it's pretty easy as long as their questions are getting answered. Does that make sense? All right, so we're gonna discuss 3 levels of product around this. These levels of product are gonna kind of differentiate how we serve the needs of every client that comes in our brand, and then we're gonna start to try to give some examples and circle back into how this affects our branding. So your actual product, it's what you sell. Your coaching, your ebook, your whatever that may be, okay? Pretty easy to understand. This is the wishy-washy one. The psychological reason for your product or service is what's called your core product, okay? So the reason this person is coming to your business is not actually because of the tangible product typically, it's because of some psychological reason that they feel safe or they want to be a part of your brand, okay? There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who are coaches. They can go get the same nutrition, workout, PD, supplementation, all that crap from someone else, okay? But the way you make them feel and the reason that they're there is why the core product. And this is what everything is going to be based around. We'll see that in a second. Now, this is a fun one. Now, this is a hard one. The augmented product is some non-physical element that differentiates but reinforces the core product. All right, all fancy blabber to say, this is some sort of benefit that they get for being a part of your business that reinforces why they became a part of their business in the first place and is an add-on to the actual product that they came and purchased for. Okay? I've got an example in the next slide, so let's wait till that. All right, we're gonna cover one of my favorite brands and another one that I think serves it very well. Oh, if my computer will work, there we go. Jordan, I've got them on right now. I wear them every time I present. And the reason I wear them every time I present is because I feel like they're one of the greatest brands in the entire world as far as like Jordan and Nike, and I think they're the best at what they do, okay? And you're gonna see why here in a second. So what is their actual product? They're just selling you shoes, okay? How many different shoes does Nike have? A lot, right? How many different sectors of that brand does Nike have? A lot, okay? I choose Jordan specifically because it's kind of in that gonadal structure of winning. Obviously, Jordan was the greatest play of all time. You can argue that later. And so when we look at Jordan from a branding perspective, we're actually looking at, as Charlie pointed out, potentially the hardest consumer to please, right? But their actual product is shoes. What is their core product? Winning. Jordan is a winner. Just an observation. Do y'all think it's ironic that we've seen the resurgence of ones becoming stylish right after the Jordan documentary came out on Netflix? Why? Because we're in a generation that didn't get to watch Jordan play basketball. They didn't understand fully how much of a winner he was until they watched that documentary, right? Now everybody and their brother is wearing some pair of Jordans as they walk around, okay? Because they want to win. Everybody wants to win. Nobody likes losing. What is their augmented product? The sneakers app. Does anybody know what this is? Please. Please. Really? Okay. Has anyone seen the Got 'em picture? So like you sign up on the sneakers app, a shoe drops and it sends you the Got 'em picture if you got picked to actually buy the sneaker. Okay. We have people that are tattooing that to their shin because they're that attached to buying Jordans. If you like, I'm kind of into the shoe thing, so, or used to be, not anymore. But people who collect shoes, it's a really big thing to get the Got 'em from the sneakers app. The sneakers app is free, and it just gives you like access to these drops of shoes that they're gonna get. If you get picked to buy that shoe, if you get picked to pay them money, you get a screen that says Got 'em with a picture of the shoe. People are getting that tattooed to their shin because they're so bought in to buying shoes from Jordan that when they get the new pair of shoes, they want to take a picture of them with their feet and the tattoo right there. I don't know better buying in a brand than I've ever seen one. You ever tattooed a brand on yourself? I mean, I've got one for my wife, but that's it. Right? Ferrari, the car, okay? The actual product's the car. What is our core product? Again, status. What is the first thing everybody does when they see a Ferrari? Right? They look. Everybody looks at you, right? People that want to be seen. The augmented product is free servicing. So the fact that they spent so much money with you that they don't care about charging for the servicing is just a play to the fact that you're so important from a status perspective that you get free service on your car. Okay? I choose these because they're very clear to see how an augmented product doesn't actually have to be a tangible thing. It can be some type of secondary service that you provide them, just a value add for them within your business, and how it should play back to this core product, right? The sneakers app, if you think about it, they won the shoe, right? They won the ability to get the shoe, so they're winning, and they're getting the Got 'em picture. All right, so what are the takeaways? Yep, go.
So I'm reading that list for shoes, they already know they're gonna sell because they got so many people that want to buy them.
Hmm?
That's a genius concept. That we think like that, like so many people that already want to buy them. So it doesn't really matter what the price is.
No, it doesn't. But you know what it does do is they sell the Got 'em shoes at the sticker price because they know on that limited edition release, once they go into the black market of like shoe selling, they're gonna triple or quadruple in price. So like for example, like Air Jordan 1 Chicago's, they did a re-release of that like last year or 2 years ago. Sticker price on that in the Got 'em app was like $275. To buy them now in like a shoe store, you're gonna have to spend upwards of $3,000. Right? The OG Jordan Chicago, there's one, a pair on, I think, eBay right now, $90,000. Right? So you're right, and they're gonna sell the shoes whether they have the app or not, right? But they're creating so much buy-in with these people, with this app, it's almost like cocaine. They just want more and more and more of it, right? Because they just keep winning and winning and winning and winning. Now, there are shoes that you will lose and you won't get the got 'em thing, and that just further reinforces like, oh man, I just want to get that next one. Kind of like when you had the 58 like no close streak. You're like, damn it, I really need to close one. You're like, damn it, I really need to win a pair of shoes. So you're in there more and more and more, right? All right, 3 primary takeaways. The psychological reason for the product trumps all. If you can serve that psychological reason to why they came to your business, that person from an LTV standpoint is going to be with your business for a long time, and you're going to better serve them from how we can actually help people in this industry, because that's the whole reason we get into this industry in the first place. Your core product should dictate that actual product, which is why I'm a big fan of thinking from a visionary perspective of a brand and kind of the direction your brand is heading. Because, like for example, my brand, which is going to be kind of taking a change here soon, is going to change the way that our product's actually served, right? I'll kind of walk you through that in a second. But the core product should always dictate the actual product, and augmented products should always reinforce that psychological reason. All right, so we've mapped that out. We know why our clients are coming to us. We know where on Maslow's hierarchy of needs they are. We kind of understand the different levels of products, but we need to be able to tell a story, okay? So your brand essence, your core identity, and your narrative are 3 important parts of that. So I'm gonna just put all 3 up here real quick. So brand essence is the immediate association that evokes a visceral feeling. So the tagline with my business is take no, I'll switch in the pursuit of results, right? When you see that, what's the first thing you think? Hard work, you're gonna get the best service because we're completely bought in. These are kind of like the initial emotions that we're gonna see. Bodybuilders tend to be people who like to put their head down, blast the music, and just go into a grungy gym and work, okay? Kind of fits. Brand core identity. Associations that add texture and substance to the brand. So associations can be people that you work with, so like clients. Associations can be brands that you partner with. Associations can literally just be changes in the direction of the business. So when I came on as head educator for J3 University, that was a massive association for my coaching business as a whole. To the point that No Switch Fitness has scaled so much from me being the head educator at J3 University that I have the same amount of people that come to me for J3U that do for No Switch Fitness, and it's actually starting to get to the point where more come from J3U than No Switch Fitness, right? You're talking about a almost 7-figure coaching brand this year. And it's getting more from the association than it is from the actual coaching brand. So one of the big things from a branding perspective that shows me is that continuation of 2 separate brands doesn't make sense. Because my association with J3U is so strong that it's making me more money than the actual brand itself. So the leverage point for me there is how do I turn No Switch Fitness into J3U coaching, right? And now that's gonna be conversations with business owners, because I'm not technically an equity shareholder in J3U, just profit share, but that's kind of where that conversation starts to lead. Of when you sit back, and last quarter I sat back and looked at these numbers and the future of my brand, I was like, I serve more people by taking No Switch and turning it into J3U coaching, right? Because everything is now streamlined under one core brand and one core identity, okay? So this is why I'm a big advocate of those quarterly meetings. You might not see anything change for a couple quarters, right? It's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're gonna have inflection points. Just like pointed out earlier, you have to kind of take those inflection points, know what your faults are, and pride is one that can get in the way for me sometimes. And so for me to set my pride away and the brand away potentially to move the business to a place that's bigger and better, that's kind of the next step from a branding perspective that makes the most sense. Now, brand narrative, near and dear to my heart. If you do not have this book on your shelf, go to Amazon. It's like $15 and buy it right now. Yes, sir. Building a story brand. When it comes to creating something from a branding perspective that people want to be a part of, They need to be able to resonate with it. This is why fitness-based industries are so personal, because most people get into coaching through their own journey, right? This is why when you know the owner of a business in the fitness industry, you know the person, you know their story, you know how they got there. Can anybody tell me the CEO of Sony? Nope. You just care that the Sony TV works, right? It's different branding. This is why this lecture is specifically to branding within the fitness industry, is because creating that brand narrative is really important. Now, Sony has their own way of creating brand narrative, but it's not anything like the way that we do business in the fitness industry. So this is kind of where we really need to think about, how do we build that story brand of progressing someone from where they are to where they want to be? We're going to look about some steps that kind of help with that. So we have a few aspects that we need to identify in order to build a story brand. So the villain is the root cause of the customer's problem, okay? I can't get in shape. I can't get pregnant. I can't do this. I can't do that, okay? This is the core of all their problems, which you should be pointing out in your purchase process, okay? The questions in the purchase process or the sales call should find this villain, and your service should serve that villain, or the solution to that villain. Now, it is important as you go through this to kind of understand external and internal perception. The differentiator here is the problem the customers face and their perception of it. A lot of females that come across my desk feel despair, like they're never going to be in actual contest shape, like they're never going to be able to have the kid they always wanted, okay? To them, this is such a massive issue, and their perception of this is that it's Mount Everest to climb, okay? With this person that comes into my call, the amount of detail that has to go into mapping out how this is possible to gain that back is really high. For homeboy that wants to get jacked, that's not Mount Everest, right? That's a different sales call. From addressing the villain of how that makes the customers feel, the difference here is the behind the closed door feeling. Now, you might not get this out of people all the time, okay? Your questions in the sales call should do this. But the reason I bring this up in like a value proposition within brand building is because when we build that story brand, we should be walking through the villain of the story, the external perception of the story, the internal perception of how it made you feel behind closed doors or how it made the client feel behind closed doors, and then the philosophical perspective of why it's plain wrong for that customer to feel that way. Okay? Now, this is not going to be like a one-post thing or like a 30-second video thing. Okay? These are going to be clients' journeys over time. So you might be pulling single aspects of this out for your clients to be resonating with. Like, for example, I had someone, in fact, it was actually her. That's ironic. So she came to me, she wanted to be a professional bodybuilder, right? One of her main issues is that the coach she came from had no understanding of what drug use looked like within proper female menstrual cycle health and kind of how to manage that properly, okay? We managed this so well that she got pregnant 8 weeks before the show and didn't even know it. So she stepped on stage 8 weeks pregnant, won the overall at this show, and found out 3 weeks later that she was pregnant. So the coaching systems and the 2 years of work that we put into fixing the previous problems, making a better physique, and actually putting in her a place that's a pretty good physiological response place, had her maintaining menstrual cycle health for so long that she accidentally got pregnant. Now, it wasn't planned, and that's okay, and she's loving it and everything with being a mother now. She's had a beautiful, beautiful baby boy. But for her, that was something that part of competing was kind of like a barrier to entry to. It was kind of the villain, right? So we were able to serve her in that way. Now, it came before she was ready to do that, but that's a big thing for people to kind of see. Now, Netflix. I love Netflix from a branding perspective. You'll see why in a second. So we understand how to kind of propose value, how we break down that story brand, and what does the value proposition allow us to do? It allows us to focus on how and why your offering is different from everybody else around you. We're going to kind of go through levels of competition in this because it's important to understand when you're building your branding. what could take away from your market share. But when we understand this, there's a couple different things that we need to kind of look at, and we're going to look at breaking this down into 4 different forms of competition. Narrow, form, need, and resource. Okay? Narrow, indistinguishable products. Literally the exact same thing. Okay? The lemonade that you buy in Crystal Light and the great value version of that lemonade is the same exact product. Okay? Form, similar actual products competing for wallet space. I use wallets as an actual example here. Has anybody seen the Ridge wallet? Guys probably have. It's basically a fancy little card holder wallet that's made of this like light aluminum, and it's kind of like a newer thing, okay? As you can see, that's gonna compete with the regular old leather wallet, right? Its form is similar, but they're competing for the same space in my budget to buy a wallet, okay? Narrow and form get really close, they're often the same, but these are kind of 2 forms of competition that you could see. A form perspective that we would actually see like within the coaching business is someone offering weekly check-in coaching that you're offering in the same rate to help someone get ready for a show. Okay, so these would be other people that prep people for businesses for my business, okay? Or prep people for shows in my business. Need, products with a similar core product, but differ in the actual product that they sell. So from a gonadal perspective, the status one is a very easy one to understand because you gain status from driving a Ferrari, you gain status from wearing a Rolex, you gain status from having a Louis Vuitton purse. Like all these different brands offer different products, but they're really playing to the same psychological need that all these people need, okay? Now resource. This Netflix is the king of mastering resource. Can anybody tell me what the finite resource that Netflix competes for?
Attention.
Time. How did they combat time? Anybody gotten to the end of an episode? Anybody got to the end of an episode? What happens? Next episode. They don't give you the option to choose to watch the next episode, right? Because they know that time is their biggest source of competition. And so the quicker they can make it to get you into the next episode, the more likely they are to keep you on the platform, okay? When it comes to resource in the coaching industry and kind of what this looks like, typically our main finite resource we're combating is money, but a lot of times it can be time if you're in like the bodybuilding sphere. Because prepping for a show, you have cardio, you have training, you have a lot of time that has to be invested, which for people with a family can be a problem, okay? So your service should actually serve that finite resource that they don't mind. So I coach Charlie, for an example. He doesn't use my normal check-in sheet. Why? Because time is not something he has, okay? He doesn't have the time to fill that out. So he uses a much shorter version so that he can just shoot it to me, get it done, and move on and receive the service that he wants, right? Money is not an issue for him, but time is. But time is the finite resource I'm combating with him. So I have different check-in systems and different ways of coaching products, systems that they check in with based on what the finite resource issue is for that client. Does that make sense? Cool. Love Netflix. All right, this is a little exercise for you guys to take home. My laptop's about to die, so let's hope it doesn't. 3 core pillars of the brand. These pillars should encompass purpose, positioning, personality, perception, and promotion, okay? A lot of P's. We're gonna cover those real quick. So the core pillars of your brand are what keep your brand standing up. If you guys have ever seen ancient architecture, they're kind of like the core of architecture within like the Roman civilization, right? They're what help keep buildings up. It's what's gonna help keep your brand up. So purpose is the why to why you're doing something. Positioning is where in the market you're positioning yourself in order to be seen. Perception is the value that's attached to that business. So that's the difference. Value, position in the market. Personality, massive in the fitness industry. This is what your brand exudes from who you are as an individual, okay? And then promotion's pretty easy. It's like, how are you promoting the brand? This is where we start getting into the actual business systems of like pre-purchase, post-purchase, purchase systems. What are we doing in order to optimize that? So I kind of mapped out this for you guys to see mine. So I use a word to describe one pillar and then a saying in order to kind of give myself a way to talk about this with people, like an elevator pitch. So mentality. The mentality of No Switch Fitness is having no all switch in the pursuit of results. I wake up every morning and the first thing I think about is what needs to happen to get these people to win. Okay? I just can't shut it off. Okay? That's just who I am. So from a mentality perspective, that's kind of what the brand represents. Education. I'm educating to elevate, which goes back to leaving the industry better than I found it. This is why J3U has blown up so much, is because both John and I have this within the core pillars of our brand. And with the two of us working on the same intention, it's just grown so much, okay? Moving the industry forward is leaving the industry better than we found it. And this is also a core pillar of J3U, which is why both of our brands leverage off each other so well, okay? Do you see how that association is really important because we have two pillars that are the exact same? From a branding perspective, you're having the same consumer buy the education content from J3U and coaching from the coaching business. They synchronize and they grow together. Come on. All right, quick summary. Branding is an asset. It's only an asset if you understand your consumer though, okay? You can have the best visuals and camera setup and logo and all the jazz that we heard earlier that 100,000 people could probably write the book to. But if the understanding of why these people need us is not there, you're never gonna get to where you could potentially be. And you're gonna limit the amount of people that you can help, which is where developing it with passion lies. If you ever get to a place where you're stuck or you're burnt out or you feel like your brand is not representative of who you are in that place, it's probably time to push that quarterly meeting up and see why branding is no longer an asset that's pushing us forward. It's actually something that's holding us back, okay? There's always a reason, you just gotta find it, okay? Now for listening to me blab for an hour, we have some things that will be going for you guys. So J3U, we offer education courses. Level 1 is top to bottom nutrition training, everything you would need to know, PD, supplementation for coaching. The female module is a specific one for coaching females. A lot of the things that you'll see with that, like PCOS, hypothalamic amenorrhea, anything that you might run across in regards to coaching girls. And then AHO, which is our applied hypertrophy module, is where we take you in the gym. We do everything execution for every body part that you could possibly need. We have program designers for you to take and use for your clients based on the need of their physique and go from there. So you can buy any single one of those with that Charlie 100 code and get $100 off of it for today and tomorrow, okay? But I convinced Mark, thank God he listened, to do a bundle where you can buy all three. Now, this has never been done before. I'm giving you $2,700 of courses and value for $1,500, okay? An email's going out to you guys right now. Is it 4 o'clock yet? 3. Okay, at 4, you're gonna get an email with a link. Click on it, just go look at it, okay? It maps out everything that you're gonna be getting. In fact, we can just click on this right now and look at it. Please stay alive, computer. Don't look at the tabs. I'm like a bad tab person. Keep 900 open on my computer at all times. No, look at that. Come on. There we go. All right. So you get the J3U Level 1 curriculum, which is like our evidence-based approach. Female coaching module, applied hypertrophy, which is where we take you in the gym. You're also, I'm adding in a bunch of other stuff as well. So you get the 1 month free VIP video calls. This is where we go over like case studies and how to actually use this with clients. The Olympia log for John and Renee. Free post-show course. So this would be helping you guys manage people who have gone through any kind of competition prep or even just long diets like photo shoot preps or anything along those lines and kind of how to manage that well. You get access to our forums. We're actually in there answering your guys' questions and helping you guys coach. Most people will go in there and post the pictures, the plans, everything that they're doing with the client and the problem they're seeing, and we'll kind of go in and make sure that you guys are doing everything well. And like I said, we have a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you buy it and you're like, this is shit, you can get your money back, okay? I am 100% confident you're not gonna do that, okay? The female module alone took me 11 months to develop, and I only did half of it, Okay, so I'm very confident in the fact that you won't ask for that, but if you do, then it's there. So a total of $1,200 in savings. So it's only available for today and tomorrow. We've never done this before. So hopefully you make me look like a genius to Mark and go get it. If you guys have questions about it, let me know. But other than that, that's it, guys. Any questions?
Any questions for Luke?
Nothing? There's no way.
You're supposed to say,
What questions can I answer? Yes, you got me there. Yeah, what you got?
What if we already have the level 1 part?
So I would use the $100 off because I don't have a way to separate out the bundle from like all of them. So those are just the two that $100 off is pretty good. We typically don't do that either. So just Charlie 100 for that. Anything else?
Go back.
I can go back.
Go back to your augmented
Product.
Augmented product. I want to see what you wrote there because I.
Do.
Actually, Luke, I'll go on.
Yeah, go.
Can I grab these slides off you at some point? Because there's a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah, I can send these over. Yeah, I don't mind. I'll send these
The
over.
one before.
Oh, one before. Yeah,
explain-
sorry.
Where you explain what the augmented product means. or
Yep.
is.
Come on. Oh, there. So non-physical elements to differentiate. So the reason I put non-physical is because like the service from Ferrari is not an actual tangible thing.
Right.
So it's just something that kind of reinforces the fact that they're so important that they get free service.
Okay.
So in the realms of coaching, like one that's common is the group calls. I don't like it as an augmented product. I think they're good for a business, but I don't think they actually reinforce much from a psychological perspective other than if you have like a heart-based, community-based business. I think from a value perspective, creating a community culture is better in person because if you guys have ever just taken like sales 101 training, there's levels of communication and in-person direct is the highest level of communication you can have. And getting people in person to create relationships and bonds is the most powerful way to keep someone in your business for a very long time. So that's like, I feel like the group calls are cool, but probably not the best to serve your audience.
Give me another example.
So like for myself, this is a tough one, but I do a couple things. One, I do a massive discount on my consult rate for anybody that works in the business. So like if you're a coach developing the business and you're a client, I do half off for my consult rate. So for them, that's like a value that they're getting for the service. Most of my people from a core product perspective are either intellect, like they're wanting to learn, or they're self-actualization, like they want to win. I'll say probably now I'm like 50-50, where it used to be like mostly want to win, but I'm probably at the point now where 50-50. So for the intellect people, it's a huge value add because they're getting me one-on-one for an hour and 15 minutes for half the cost that they get. So it's something that's easy to implement. Now, I thought about doing something like a trip together with everyone that's on the brand, right? The problem with that is there's a reason that bodybuilders tend to isolate, and it's generally because they don't like people too much. You have your outgoing ones like Charlie or me that do that, and they get a lot of value out of that. So I'll still do athlete weekends, but the frequency at which I do that's not as high as a brand that is like community based. This is where I said like every good brand has aspects of this in their business. It's just the frequency at which you do these to serve that core psychological reason they're there is really important.